For my transmedia story world, I intend to create a podcast inspired by the War of the Worlds 1938 radio podcast. The podcast will showcase fake crimes that are being committed around the University of Wollongong, but I interpret it in a way that seems realistic. The crimes involve stalking and kidnapping. The podcast will be expanded through multiple media platforms such as Spotify, where the podcast will be presented, Instagram, where updates will be posted, as well as an online website where video proof will also be posted. Carlos Alberto describes transmedia storytelling as transmedia stories that are told across multiple media platforms. At the most present time, the significant stories tend to flow across multiple media platforms. Each medium tells a story in a way for it to be introduced in film, expanded through television, novels, comics, and explored through gameplay. Each medium is then presented to best fit the intended audience. I wanted to create a transmedia world based of this by creating multiple media platforms such as the Spotify podcast and Instagram account, as well as a website with links to videos and proof. Through this, I am inviting the audience to engage and interact with my story of the Cruel Crime podcast. The main reasoning behind choosing to create a podcast based on these topics was because over 3.4 million people aged 16 or older are all victims of stalking. I also included robbery, as it can happen anywhere at any time. The effects of robbery can include shock, disbelief, anxiety, helplessness, vulnerability, and fear. Each of these emotions can take a massive toll on one's mental health, so my goal was to raise awareness and show the impacts it has on our community. This story world also has the potential to be expanded through multiple other social media platforms such as Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, although it would be nearly impossible to do individually. If this were to be conducted in groups, each member could have their own media platform they can focus on. With the help of 4 to 5 group members, each member could participate by incorporating their skills, including camera skills, photoshopping skills, and website making. As I had tons of experience with Premiere Pro, I could include my editing skills when creating films and sounds. To create this story world, the main platform that will be used is Spotify, where the podcast will run every Friday at 5 p.m, where each podcast is a different crime that has been committed at the University of Wollongong. As well as Spotify, there will also be an Instagram account where updates on the crimes will be posted daily to keep the audience intrigued, as well as daily questions where the audience can interact and place their thoughts on the podcast. There will also be an online website where graphic and first-hand videos will be posted to show the proof of the crime being committed. Here is just a close-up of the surveillance footage that I filmed and then edited on Premiere Pro to make it look like actual surveillance footage. I drew inspiration mainly from War of the Worlds 1938 radio podcast, as I found it interesting how a group of men managed to scare the entire nation into believing that the Earth was being taken over by Martians. I decided to recreate a version of this by discussing made-up crimes conducted within the University of Wollongong and make them seem as realistic as possible. Here is a short clip of what their work is like.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theatre on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theatre and star of these broadcasts, Orson Welles.
My overall idea is to create an ongoing podcast following the steps of a local stalker and robber. This stalker is going around the University of Wollongong wearing a mask, secretly stalking and robbing students on the residents of Coolabong Village. This psychopath is still very much active. This podcast doesn't think the police officers are doing enough to help out, hence why I've taken matters into my own hands and have created a podcast with victims who have encountered the man in the mask and have provided vague videos of their personal experience, which will be shown on the online website. Dates and updates will be posted on Instagram and the podcast will be played on Spotify. The next few moments of this video will be a short clip of the audio used for my podcast and what it will be like. Welcome back to Cruel Crime Podcast. Today we'll be joined with the victim of the man in the mask. Her name is Ellie Tapaletti. Ellie, tell us about your experience and what really went down.
Hey Grace, thanks for having me. I just got home from work. I finished at like 7, I think, and then when I came out of the car park, I walked up into the building and it was pretty dark. So sorry, I'm still a bit shaky. And then I was walking through the door and it was dark and my mum rang me, so I stopped and answered the phone. And then when I was walking up the stairs, I heard someone walking down, but I didn't really want to make eye contact because I was in a bit of a rush and I was a bit busy talking to my mum. And then as soon as I did look up, I got a shove in the arm, in my shoulder, and then I caught off balance. I didn't want to fall down the stairs, so I grabbed the railing and it took my bag.
Oh my gosh, Ellie, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I promise we'll get to the bottom of this. To find out more about this crime, simply look at our website at cruelcrimes.com. Live surveillance footage of the man in action will also be on this website to get a closer look at what this man looks like. To help us get to the bottom of this, feel free to contact us. There are links provided in our website of where to contact. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Stay tuned for next Friday night at 5 p.m. Good night, everyone.